Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pendulum Friday here at Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. In case you missed it, um, it- earlier this week I put out a video called Mergers and Money, I think, having to do with CBS and the whole Colbert thing and the Trump thing. So if you haven't taken a peek at that, maybe you might like to. Alrighty. The only other second piece of housekeeping is I'm currently booking private readings the week of August like 10th. So if you're interested in getting one, just go to the Dropbox below and send an email to soulprint888@gmail.com and I will get back to you with all the information you need to know. There are a ton of questions today, and man, some of them are really, really interesting and intriguing. So we're just going to get right started here. Um, for anybody who's new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for being here. So just for a reminder, or people who are new, here we go. Okay, pendulum. Let me know when you're ready to communicate. And you'll see it goes side to side. That means it's ready and I am protected. Pendulum, show me yes. Back and forth. Pendulum, show me no. And round and round. If the pendulum just sort of does that and doesn't answer, it means a couple of things. One, it's none of our business. And sometimes that actually has happened. Two, the energies are not consistent enough to make any sort of determination. Um, and yeah, there might be another one. If it happens, I'll let you know. All right. Is Prime Minister Carney going to finish his full term? He's just elected, for goodness sake. Is he going to finish his full term? Yes. This is my question. As a result of the free trade agreements that he has negotiated with pretty much all the rest of the world except for the United States, um, by the time his term ends in 4 years or so, is Canada going to be more secure, more independent, and frankly, more prosperous? Yes. Okay, Danielle Smith. For those of you who maybe don't know, she is the premier here in Alberta, where I live. And she is just like making people crazy. Um, she does this thing where if you criticize her, she yells, right? And she just attacks and demands an apology. It's like she thinks, I've often said, man, she is Trump in heels. She thinks she's the queen, and if somebody says or does something she doesn't like, she should just banish them. It doesn't work that way. But so as a result, a lot of people are getting really, really frustrated with her. This is the question. Is Daniel still frustrated with the federal policies affecting Alberta? That's interesting because it's a no. And I'll tell you what I'm hearing is a lot of it is posturing. Um, she got more from the federal government under Carney that honestly she has before. So this is just her shtick, right? I'm going to bitch, I'm going to complain, nobody understands me, like that. Now, will the citizen referendum on separation from Canada here in Alberta gain enough signatures? Sorry. Okay, that's a no. I'm just going to ask this question, even though should the referendum go through and there are enough signatures, is there any potential of Alberta separating from Canada? That's a no. Not going to happen. Maxwell and Epstein question. Will Ghislaine Maxwell be compelled to testify before Comer's House Oversight Committee on August 11th? Well, that's like a really like up in the air question, but let's see if we can find out. Okay, exactly. It hasn't been determined. There's a lot of back and forth going on, but I have to say, I suspect that before that happens, Comer's going to get a phone call from, oh, I don't know, maybe somebody named Trump, who's going to say, don't do that. And of course, he will bend the knee. Will she testify to 45's innocence in return for a pardon? That's a no. If I'm not mistaken, the House Oversight Committee, I think that was the right House committee. Um, Apparently she wanted like complete immunity, and they were like, no, I don't think so. So what you're seeing here, thank you. What you're seeing here is sort of that kicking the can down the road. All right. They don't want her testifying because by now a whole bunch of people have figured out that Trump is in those records, and she knows what she knows. They don't want her testifying, but they have to make it seem as if not only are they anxious for her to testify, but they are, ready to go. But in fact, this is just going to be a series of kicking that can down the road because they don't want her opening her mouth. Um, let's see this. Will she get a pardon from Trump if she doesn't testify? Okay, so that's like a really, really, really little yes. So let's not take that to heart. Attorney General Pam Bondi said last week that 45 had been told in March that he was in the Epstein files. Today, July 29th, she lodged a misconduct complaint against Judge James Boasberg for making improper public comments about Trump. Um, let's just ask this first. Is this misconduct complaint going to actually go anywhere significant? Is it going to have any significant impact on the judge? No. So, as Attorney General, she can push and push and push. But when it comes right down to it, it's going to be a lot of smoke, no fire. Um, is she trying to get back into 45's good graces? Yeah. Is he really mad at her? Like, is he really like furious? Yeah, he is because he wants her and Patel to shut this thing down, and they can't. And so what does he do? He takes it out on the people who he is determined are responsible for making his life better. And when they don't do that, well, now he's going to be mad and angry. Will 45 fire Bondi? Let's put a time on that. Within the next 12 months. That's a yes. Is she safe till the end of this year, till the end of 2025? And that's a yes. Makes you wonder what she's going to do in the first half of 2026, doesn't it? Kash Patel, is he going to be fired within the next year? Yes. Ooh, that's a really strong yes. Is he going to be fired before the end of this calendar year, 2025? And that's also a really, really strong yes. Okay. Was the first Mrs. of the orange guy, Ivana Trump, was she good friends with Ghislaine Maxwell? That's a no. The question I want to ask is the current Mrs. Trump, Melania, was she good friends with Ghislaine Maxwell? And that's a yes. Does 45 have homosexual yearnings that he flexes with his nihilism? And is that why he fears the Epstein file content? Um, let's take the first part of that, shall we? Is that a yes or a no on homosexual yearnings? That's a no. So the next question was, is that why he fears the Epstein files content? So I'm just gonna, is their conduct behavior in the Epstein files connected to 45 that allegedly would be illegal? Yes. Will the Epstein files be released in their entirety? Okay, no. Will the Epstein files be leaked? That's a yes. Now, it doesn't feel like the entire thing is going to be released or leaked. Mm. Um, is it going to be released or leaked by someone um, that has a position that is close to Trump? Is it going to come out of the Department of Justice or the FBI, or is that where the leak's going to come from, or the origin, or as Trump likes to say, the orange of? um, sorry, my that just made my brain fritz. Um, is the origin of the leak going to come from either the FBI or the Department of Justice? No. Will it be leaked? Will the entire file be leaked? No. Did Melania work for Epstein before she was introduced to Trump? It's almost a non-answer. It's sort of a really kind of little yes. What I'm hearing is that the problem is with the word work. So what I'm being told kind of vaguely is that um, They knew each other. Um, and I think that's the three of them. I think that's Maxwell, Epstein, Melania. Um, but I don't know if I want to say, well, then was she a private contractor? But the issue is with the word work. So was she associated with them? Yes. Was she affiliated with them? Yes. But was she open to doing favors? Yes. That's as far as I'm going, people. A few days ago, the FCC approved Skydance Media's bid to acquire Paramount, which is the parent company of CBS. Okay, so again, I did reference some of the stuff in that video that I released on Wednesday. And the reason they canceled Colbert was because um, they were getting pressure to either, if it's sort of like, if you want the bid to go through and be approved, then you need to decide to lay off of 45. And 45, it was really easy for Colbert to get under his skin. And so that's who he was steaming at and focusing at. And that became the leverage. Get rid of him or I will block. Will more shows get canceled, such as 60 Minutes? As of right now, that looks like a yes. Now, let's not forget, just prior to this nonsense, CBS doled out something like $16 million to 45 because he complained that during the last election, his interview was edited in a way basically that made him look bad, and that hers was, Kamala's, was, I guess, edited to make her look really good. So that first they paid the fixed 16 million. Now they've gotten rid of their one of their top shows, which is, the one Colbert does. Um, will the new media company formed from the merger align itself with Trump's policies? Yes. Now, are they going to slowly, going forward, pivot back to at least an unbiased or a more center um, information coming out? Mhm. Yeah, so this is interesting, right? It's like they're going to bend the knee now, and it feels like a little bit down the road they're going to start retracting, um, because basically they will have gotten what they wanted. Wow, do we think Trump got played? Certainly has enough experience getting played by Putin. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Uh Paramount show that South Park is critical of Trump. Boy, are they ever. Um, will it be canned? Will it be canceled? That's a yes. Is it still going to um is there still going to be an outlet or a media entity that will pick up that show? Will South Park end if it is canceled, or will it go on? So is South Park going to end if and when it gets canceled? No. And that's one of the things that, again, the master of shooting his own self in his own foot fails to realize is just because he got rid of Stephen Colbert from one show, it does not mean he's going to go quietly into the night, right? He's garnering more attention and more outrage. And I don't know where he's going to end up. I don't know whether he's going to end up doing sort of like a podcast deal or he's going to go to another network. But whatever it is, all he did was all 45 did was draw attention to how corrupt he is and the length to which he will go to go after, attack people who he feels are not fair to him or kind to him or loyal enough to him. But, you know, that it doesn't work. It didn't work before. It's not going to work this time. It's going to eventually blow up in his face, just like everything else. Is 45 suing Oprah, Beyonce, and Kamala so that he can get access to their previous campaign donors with the express purpose to threaten, intimidate them from donating to any Democratic campaign in the future? Okay, let's start with this. Is 45 actually going to go forward and sue Oprah? No. Beyonce? No. Kamala? No. Does that represent yet another distraction? Yes. Even if there's paperwork filed, et cetera, it's not going to go anywhere. It'll get tossed out of court or whatever's going to happen there, but it's not going to amount to anything. Will anything take 45 out of government? Um, mhm. Will there be a military coup that removes him and his cabinet? No. Oh God, that Emile Beauvais, I think is how you say it, just got confirmed to the Senate, honest to God, for a lifetime appeals court judge position. When will he be impeached when the clown show leaves office? So we're not really getting an answer here. Um, what I'm being told is that when the Democrats get in next, they again are going to be reluctant to sort of undo um, some, particularly those appointments that took place under Trump. Um, you would have thought they would have learned their lesson in the Biden administration when, he kept being told you need to expand the court. This is insane. But that wasn't done. And so it boils down to until we kind of know who's going to end up in office. Um, it's sort of hard to know. What I'm feeling is there. I don't get impeached as much as I get encouraged to retire. Oh goodness. Will Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid still be here and be a stronger expanded program for American people within the next 10 to 15 years. Yes. Really nice, strong yes. Some lawmakers in the US are pushing a bill to have the extreme heat weather events categorized in a way that they can be declared national disasters and states of emergency with floods, fires, etc. Will this pass, and how will it help citizens? All right, wait a minute. Is this going to pass under the current administration? No. Will it pass in the future when there's somebody else in the Oval? Yes. About a week ago, I saw a story. I have no idea that Russia has used El Salvador as a global spy training center network. Trained there, then sent to other countries. Is this why 45 is so attracted to it? I don't know. Okay, it's a yes, but what I'm getting is sort of in part, right? That's part of it, but not all of it. Part of the description of Anonymous YouTube page is this. Anonymous is an idea that cannot be broken. We are anonymous. We are allegiant. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us. Can the anonymous YouTube videos be believed? So this is the thing. Honestly, like a whole lot of what you see out there, you need to be always aware of the fact that um, a lot of it is for clickbait. Okay, so they say things that are going to grab your attention. It's not too much that they are lying. It's more like an embellishment. Things get blown up. And you know what? Listen, you can go all through your feed and just look at the titles of the videos, and the ones that, frankly, I'm sorry, but they get the most views are the ones that say, something negative about 45 or his administration or the people in it. And even though everybody is sick and tired of talking about 45, at this point, it really honestly feels like better the devil you know than when you don't. And so it's easier to keep track of him and watch what he's doing and saying. But the information I'm getting is that a lot of stuff is just simply embellished because that's what is going to attract viewers. Particularly when you have channels that have monetized, which, by the way, if you're new here, I do not monetize this channel at all. That was just a decision I made a whole bunch of years ago when this started, and I haven't changed my mind yet. So can it be believed? Sure, a part of it can. Can all of it be believed? No. Should you really believe 100% of anything you hear that you have not personally backed up with research and investigation? Probably not. All right. Is the Urantian, I don't even know if I've said that right, book legit? This is a book that was a spiritual philosophy and a religious book that originated in Chicago, Illinois, United States, somewhere between 1924 and 1955. So I'm not really in a position where I'm going to um, say something negative or positive, frankly, about another sort of spiritual um, philosophy, practice, whatever. But what I will tell you is that what I'm hearing is that, like all philosophies, particularly spiritual ones, the idea is that you take a bit here and a bit there and a bit there, because where we've evolved to is not a place where there's a strict philosophy and everybody adheres to it down the road, sort of like a church. Where we're at now is a place where people are almost creating their own um, spiritual philosophies that are a reflection of how they think and how they feel and what they believe. And that ultimately is the beauty and the brilliance of free will. We have evolved to a point finally where um, we are able to pick and choose. I'm sorry, I can't come up with another phrase. So everything offers something, and you find what resonates, and that's part of what you incorporate into your own personal spiritual philosophy, which is the direction this is going in globally. And honestly, that's part of the reason why you see this pushback from people who have been controlled, um, or their rulers, I guess. But you have, um, you know, for those of us who live in country where we are free, we can talk whatever we want, we can do whatever we want, we can travel wherever we want. Um, that kind of freedom, and the idea of it being restricted, is horrifying to us. But by the same token, you also have populations of people that have been indoctrinated into believe that they have a supreme leader and that his rules, ideas, thoughts must be adhered to 100,000%. So the idea for those people, not everyone, but by and large, the idea of freedom is actually as horrifying to them as a lack of freedom is to us, because it's what they know and what they're used to. And that's part of the reason why you see this sort of real last push for this authoritarian dictatorship like energy. It's because the things that bind it, the things that are holding it, are starting to fray. And what happens? Well, we know what happens is those people who are in power who do not want to give up power, they push harder and they push back harder. And because by and large their citizens aren't all that important to them, um, you know, they're not really restricted on how they push back. Are we safe to speak our mind online? Or should we shut down our social media accounts? All right, let's break that up. Are Is social media still a relatively safe place to gather and exchange thoughts? Yes. Okay. I'll just tell you what they just said. So one of the things that has happened is that because, you know, I mean, some people have their actual name, but lots of people have all these different sort of names or tags or whatever. You really, really are anonymous. And what has happened is it has given people, um, permission somehow to be particularly rude, sarcastic, cutting. Um, and that in part has created a lot of this sort of negative noise that we hear all the time, right? Because people are no longer even attempting to behave in a polite and civilized way. Um, Certainly with 45, it was like, oh, blow up the rules, right? Say whatever you want, do whatever you want, because I do, right? It works for me. I'm proud. I'm magic. So part of it is that, right? You always want to be mindful that by and large, you are, even if it doesn't feel like it at the time, you are connecting with another person simply by making the comments you make. Okay. Now, the idea of shutting down social media accounts is not something that spirit is all that, I guess, anxious to have happen because of the large volume of disinformation that's out there. It's almost like you have to find where you can find the truth wherever that is. Now, there's a caveat to that. Whether you are a citizen of the United States or not, whether you are any other variation in the United States, be very careful if you're traveling because that's where there's going to be a problem as soon as they see something that doesn't line up with the way 45 thinks you should be thinking or feeling or expressing yourself. That's where you're going to run into trouble. So I'm not sure what to tell you. Spirit is sort of saying be careful, but also be aware of the fact that to some degree or another, that really does seem to be the best place to get um, accurate or more accurate information or analysis. I don't know if that answered your question or just confused you, but that's what I've got for right now. Um, okay, that's everything. Thank you for being here. It's a weekend. I hope you have a really good weekend. Do something nice for yourself and somebody else. We've got all kinds of extreme crazy weather going on here in Alberta. It's like we're under a heat advisory. It's hot. It's not letting go. I saw just before I started to record this that New Jersey, New York are under rain and flood warnings. So, and I can't even imagine what's going on in the south. Okay. Um, but take care. Be well. And I'll see you soon. Thanks for being here. Bye bye for now.